We're on the road with Mickey, we're gonna have some fun. Regardless of the rain or sun, our trip has just begun. So buckle up, let's go, we're about to start the show. And maybe if you like us, you'll see where else we'll go. Hi everybody, I'm Sophie, he's Mike, and she's Brenda, and welcome to On the Road with Mickey. If you're returning for another adventure with us, welcome back. We are so glad you have returned safely. And if this is your first episode with us and you're new here, welcome. It's so nice to meet you, and I'm going to show you the reins today. First up, we have our Cheddar from the Big Cheese, which is basically our Disney news snippets. And then after that, we have our feature topic, which is what we talk about for most of the episode. And then after that, we have our This Day in Disney History, brought to you by me. And after that is our game of Who's Who, and that is brought to you by Mike, my dad. Oh, fair warning, I'm almost never wrong when it comes to this game. I almost always win it. And then after that, Brenda will be giving us a quote from the big man himself, Walt Disney, and it's just going to be amazing. So buckle up, keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the car at all times. Make sure you're safe, fasten your seatbelts, all that good stuff. And we will see you on the road. It's time to get going. Let's go!
Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and that's Sophie,
And that's Brenda.
Hi, everyone.
and, and we're on the road with Mickey. This is season 2, episode 8 for February 22nd, 2021, and our feature topic is When Disney Goes Above and Beyond, also known as Disney Plusing. But before we get into that, as always, we are going to talk about some cheddar from the big cheese. And there's actually some really big cheddar that we want to go over. So I'm going to start us off and we're just going to kind of walk down the list, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Now, from a travel agent and a travel perspective, one of the biggest news items for me is that Walt Disney World has released pricing for 2022 that goes through early July. It's huge for several reasons, in my opinion. One, it gets people excited about taking a Disney trip next year. Two, it gives you a longer time period to plan and pay for your trip. And three, it shows that Disney is looking ahead towards a time when things at Disney will be more normal. It also gives four things. The fourth thing is it gives people something to look forward to down the road. Well, I
For
guess I
sure.
mentioned that in number one, but anyway. And as you guys may or may not know, Brenda and I are both travel agents with Pixie Vacations. So if you are interested in starting a discussion about travel in 2022 or even in 2021, shoot us an email. Brenda is over at brenda@pixievacations.com and I'm at mike at pixievacations.com.
Yep.
Yep. Be happy to hear from you.
We
Yep.
would.
I'm the only one who's not a travel agent, but then again, I'm only 19.
That's
Right.
right.
And moving on, over at the conservation station at Animal Kingdom Park, Disney is introducing a new Raya and the Last Dragon animation experience and a sand sculpture. You can learn to draw these new characters from the movie starting today, the day of this releasing, February 22nd. And also over at Discovery Island stage, artists will be working on a 40-ton sand sculpture celebrating the film, which will feature Raya, Tuk Tuk, Sisu the Last Dragon, and Unji.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that the sand sculpture will be there through like near the end of March. So it won't be there forever. But my also understanding is that the animation experience will be there for quite some time. So that'd be kind of cool to learn how to draw how to draw
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sisu or someone,
I love
you
those
know?
Yep.
classes. Those classes are
And
great.
Yeah, I do too.
you can watch Raya and the Last Dragon on March 5th, 2021. That is the release date that it is set for.
Mm-hmm.
That's
However,
great.
it's a Disney Plus Premier access, so you might need to pay money if you want to watch it without going to the theaters.
Right. It for premiere it would be an upcharge, but it is also coming in the theaters, and I'll probably look forward to seeing it in the theaters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the movie theater, so I would probably want to see it there as well.
Yeah, I haven't been to a theater in over a year, so that would be fun.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
Well,
right.
also in Disney travel news, Disney released their military promotional tickets, and you can get either a 4-day or a 5-day Park Hopper or Park Hopper Plus ticket. The 5-day Park Hopper tickets are $315 plus tax, and the 5-day Park Hopper Plus tickets are $345 plus tax. The 4-day Park Hoppers are $296 plus tax, and the
Nice.
4-day Park Hopper Plus is $326 plus tax. I'm glad they're doing this again for our military personnel.
yeah,
That's
me
awesome.
too. I
Mhm.
So
think
glad they
it
did that.
yeah, I think it starts you can start using them in early March, and it's through you can purchase them through I think December 17th.
Awesome.
So,
Yep. And then finally, one more big movie news, and this is one that I actually picked up myself like a couple days ago when I saw it on YouTube. Coming to theaters May 28th is the newest Disney live action remake, Cruella.
Oh
Disney
yeah.
released an updated trailer on the 17th, and there is a link to the YouTube video if you want to go check it out. We will put it in the show notes. Note that this movie does not look like it's necessarily meant for small children, as you will see.
yeah.
But my daughter, who's 30 now, cannot wait to see it. She is a big Emma Stone fanatic.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I mean, it looks really well done,
It
but I
does.
think it would terrify 4 and 5 year olds if they
Oh,
I
saw
think
yes,
so
it.
too.
definitely.
So I'm like, I don't think Lindsay, our niece, is gonna be seeing that movie.
Mm-mm.
Probably not.
All
To be
right.
fair, it is based around the villain this time around, and although Maleficent has done that already, Maleficent is still a little bit scary, but it's not really a villain, it's an anti-hero in
Yeah,
those movies.
yeah.
So I have a feeling this is going to be pretty scary.
We'll see.
Hmm.
I'm
I bet it's
excited
going to
to
be
go
good
see it.
though.
Yeah, I think it will. Just a reminder, you can connect with us on our different channels and different locations. So just check the show notes for all that. And then that brings us to our feature topic when Disney goes above and beyond. And I'm sure everyone that's listening to this knows exactly what we're talking about. But Brenda used a term that kind of threw me, and I've been going to Disney for 42 years now, and I hadn't really thought of the term Disney Plusing. So Brenda, why don't you just give us a little bit of information on what you mean by Disney Plusing?
Okay, well, plussing was actually Walt's word, and I'm a Walt fanatic, so Walt
Absolutely.
Disney actually coined the term plussing, and it simply means exceeding expectations or going above and beyond. So he always wanted guests to have an experience that was more than what they expected.
Okay.
So he intended, even by not, calling people customers, they were not customers of the parks, they were always guests.
Hmm.
And even in the trainings, guests is always capitalized. I mean, that was
Yeah.
very, very important to him. So, exceeding guest expectations is a standard call to duty for cast members. And
Hmm.
we personally have found that Disney always has thrown in unexpected pleasures or treasures or interactions during our visits. So I'm really glad to be talking about this today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to hear y'all's stories.
That
Good.
is true.
All right. Well, thank you, Brenda.
Sure.
Hmm.
Sophie, did you want to start us off?
I was actually going to have you start us off, Daddy.
Okay. Well, I have several that I've listed in the show notes. So just kind of like reminders for me so I don't forget. But the first one actually happened over Thanksgiving. Um and it involved these eyeglasses. So we were walking. We had eaten breakfast. We hightailed. We were at the Magic Kingdom. We hightailed it to Gaston's to get Main Street to get cinnamon rolls,
Yeah.
and it was busy enough that there was no seating inside. So we were trying to find a spot to sit and eat. And so and that's of course very important in this masked environment. You can't just walk around and eat your cinnamon roll,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
you can't have your mask down. So we're trying to find the spot, and we find a spot, and we enjoyed our cinnamon rolls, didn't we, Sophie?
Yes, and everyone was asking where we got them, and we pointed them to
To Gaston's.
Gaston's.
But anyway,
Good advertising.
yeah, that wasn't the that's not the story. The What happened though is after we were done eating, we threw out our trash, and um I reached up to my glasses, and the screw came loose, and the lens just fell right out all over the ground,
No.
and I'm like, "Oh no." So I got the thing, and and I'm like, okay, I've got the lens and I got my frames, and the screw was still in there and everything like that, but I had no way of screwing it in. So Sheila and Jagan and Randy and Sophie went off towards, I think, Haunted Mansion or Pirates, I think it was, while Cindy and I went to try and find somewhere that had a little jeweler's screwdriver set, and we thought, let's go to the jeweler store on Main Street, and that's where we went.
Mm.
Um, and they did not have one, but
Wow.
they sent a cast member. They told us to hang tight. They sent a cast member. The cast member went all the way up to where you rent the strollers at the entrance of the park, and he went and got a little kit that they have for just for that. It had a little lens for magnifying, and it had screws, and it had the screwdriver, and it had everything all in this little packet. And they brought it back to us, and they wouldn't let us buy it, and they wouldn't let us give it back, and they just gave it to us, and just said, here, work right here, and do what you did. So we worked on it right in the middle of the display, in the store, and we were
Yeah.
able to get it back together, and everything was fine from there. And that was just a great example. It didn't cost hardly anything, I'm sure, but it just was Disney going above and beyond, and and we'll never forget that, because Cindy, immediately after we were done, she put that in our Disney backpack, where it
Mm-hmm.
will always be there if we ever
Yeah.
need it again, or if someone else has a similar thing, we'll have something for someone.
Yep.
Yes, that's awesome.
So that was just a great moment where Disney helped us out, and they just did it. So
Mm-hmm.
That's the way.
that's my first one. Do we want to just go around the table?
Sure.
Okay. Who's going next?
Sophie?
Yeah, I suppose I'll go next.
Okay.
And keep in mind, a lot of my stories aren't going to be nearly as good as my dad's, since he remembers these little details the most, and I had some trouble coming up with all of these. But I have to say that the one I remember the most would have to be from Animal Kingdom. Um, my dad and we were walking to Expedition Everest, and it was hot, and we were like, you know what? We want some ice cream. So we
I
found
forgot all
this,
about that.
yeah, so we found this ice cream truck, and
Yep.
it was a
Right down
soft
from
serve.
Everest.
Yep,
Hmm.
but it was closed when we got there. Well, as soon as we stepped up to it to see, we were like, oh, it's closed. We were going to turn away. And then a cast member came up and was like, no, it's open. And so
Mm-hmm.
we got the ice cream,
Yay.
and Daddy was going to pay for it. And she was like, nope, on the house.
This was this
Yay.
was not this past Thanksgiving, the year before,
Mm.
or 2 years ago. And we were there with Sheila and Jagan and Randy and Cindy and the two of us, and we were like, we want some ice cream, and everyone else was like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want any ice cream. I don't want any ice cream. And then when we came back, because they gave us the waffle cones with like like a gallon of ice cream in each
Yeah.
waffle cone, and everyone was like, oh my gosh. And then when they heard we didn't pay for it, it was like, wow.
Yeah. Y'all were
So
the stars of the show.
right
Yep.
then we were, and it was awesome ice cream, wasn't it, Sophie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it was so
And
good.
and it definitely bore fruit. It definitely came to fruition because after we left, a huge line
Yeah.
formed.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
That advertising works,
That's right. Y'all are really good
People
for
saw
advertising.
that. They saw that ice cream and everyone was like, "Oh man." And there were, like Sophie said, there were probably 6 or 8 people waiting in line after we were done to go get ice cream.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looks
It was
so
awesome.
good.
Oh, it was
Mm-hmm.
so good.
It looks so good.
Really, really good.
Yay.
Good
That's a
memory,
great
Sophie.
story.
I love that
Yay.
one.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Brenda, you're up.
Well, my first one has to do with my birthday because I have been going to Disney for my birthday every year since my 50th. So, except for COVID when I had to cancel my trip this past June, we go every year for our
That's
birthday.
so
So, when you get checked into your room or you come back to your room and you have this card and it's waiting for you and it's from Mickey and the gang and everybody signed it.
uh-huh.
It's just such a nice gift. Can you see it?
I
It's
I
a
can
nice
see
gift.
half
can
of it. Oh,
Yeah, I know the
you.
YouTube the people who watch on YouTube will be able to see it and I know the other guys won't be able to see it, but um I've gotten cards like this like each year or I've gotten one of these photos of Mickey.
We
Can you
can't
see
see
that?
it, Miss
No,
Brenda.
I'm
Mm.
sorry. Got a
Oh,
photo of
Oh,
Mickey and it says enjoy your celebration. And these kinds of things being left in the room just means so much. And I've, I've kept every one. I keep everything,
oh.
but I've kept every one. And I just love how they always do that because it's just such a nice thing to do for people.
mhm.
So that's one of the things that always exceeds my expectations for me. I just love when they do special things for, there's kids having birthdays there and people having anniversaries
Yeah.
and, all kind of celebrations and it just adds to the fun so much. So that's my
Yeah.
first one.
Well,
Yep.
good. Good. That's a good one, Brenda. I
Thank
like
you.
it. So, um the
What's your
next
next one?
one, the next one took place in the Magic Kingdom as well. I think not all of these took place in the Magic Kingdom, just so you know. But this one took place in the Magic Kingdom, and just for the a little context, it took place pre Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom days. Back at the fire station, it used to be you saw all they always had the patches of the fire
Yep. I took a
for the
patch there
different
from
Mm-hmm.
fire.
Galveston.
Oh, you did? And there's
Yep.
one in there from Wake County. And
Awesome.
anyway, there's they have all the patches, but they used to also sell books and things like that in there. And one day we were just went in there and we're looking around and Sophie was looking at some of the books and she saw a book that she wanted and it wasn't that bad. I don't even remember what it was now, but we went um to go pay for it and the cast member was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but the system is down and we can't process your payment." And we're like, "Okay, well, we'll come back." And she's like, "No, no, no. What I mean is the system's down and you don't need to come back because we're going to give you the book." And so they gave us the book and Sophie loved the book. And I wish I could remember what it was, but it was just
Mm.
it was a little kid's book from, for like a 6-year-old or 7-year-old type.
Oh.
and she just really liked it. And so I actually had forgotten this, and Cindy reminded me of it because Cindy never forgets anything. So,
Oh,
Good
wow.
job. That's
and then
nice. Very nice.
as a follow up to that, just this past July, I had an e-gift card, and I had it loaded onto my phone so that I could pay for stuff with the gift card. And we went because we had packed sunscreen to take with us. And when we got to TSA, they told us it was too much and they confiscated it.
Oh, no,
And
more
so
than
we
three
weren't able.
ounces.
It was like
Oh,
cans, and we thought it would be okay because it was in our luggage, but it wasn't. So it was confiscated, and so we didn't have any sunscreen. So we went into one of the stores on Main Street just to go buy. I think it was the Emporium or something, just to go buy some, and it wouldn't go through. And they kept trying and trying, and it just wouldn't go through with the gift card. And so they did the same thing. Then they just comped it out and gave us the sunscreen.
very nice. Very
So
nice.
that's
Yep.
just Disney.
That's Disney.
And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? You know what's really cool is it kind of makes you as a guest, it makes you feel really special, but it also uh, brings out the whole pay it forward thing.
Yep, it sure does.
All right. So, Sophie, what's next on your list?
Well, mine has to do with my birthday,
Mhm.
Yay.
and I don't remember what year it was. I think it was 2009 because
Okay.
we were going to Disney, but it was August, I think, not June. Yeah,
That's the
that was
one we had to reschedule. That was the surprise trip.
mhm.
Okay.
And I think I remember we were staying at the hotel, and I was sad because I was like, I was going to be here for my birthday, but now I can't celebrate my birthday at Disney. And I remember the lady at the desk said, "Oh, you were going to be here for your birthday? When's your birthday?" And I said, "June." And she said, "Well, luckily for you, there's a rule here that says you can celebrate your birthday up to 6 months before and 6 months after." And
Yep.
she gave me a birthday pin, and it said "Happy Birthday, Sophie" on it, and I was so happy.
Yay.
And I've constantly been following that rule ever since then. Every time someone mentions
Yep.
it's their birthday at Disney, I say, "Well, we can celebrate it year round."
That's
That's right.
right.
That's
You're
right.
absolutely right.
That's
And
a great story.
and it's so cool because you wear your pin and everyone says to you, even guests and everyone just says happy birthday all the time.
That's
It's so
right.
cool.
It is. Yeah, that Disney community is so awesome.
Yeah.
Yep, it's amazing.
So so what do you have, Brenda?
Well, my next one has to do with one of the times we went to Disney World and we stayed in the Wilderness Lodge. They were doing a small refurb. It wasn't huge. It didn't affect us as far as our sleeping or anything. They were doing some work outside around the pool and things like that. But we came back to the room and we had a pardon our pixie dust pen set. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
all little pins with Mickey and the
Yep.
gang in construction. They're
Oh,
all around construction things, and I collect pins. So that was like the sweetest thing ever. The front says, "Pardon our pixie dust." And the inside says, "Welcome home and thank you for being our guest. We'd like to share our appreciation for your patience while we're working our magic around the resort with these special little keepsakes as a gift to you." And they're just so cute. It's Mickey and Pluto and Chip and Dale, and they're just so cute. And that was such
oh.
a special thing they did to leave
Mhm.
that for guests just as a special thank you. I mean, who would do that? So
Right.
that's
And
another Disney way.
and I've got a set just like that
Yay!
from when I was staying at Coronado Springs when they were working on the tower.
That's
They
great.
left the same thing. And I
See,
don't
it's
remember
so
if it's the same
special.
exact pins, but it was so cool.
So
Um,
special. Yeah.
and it was just really neat. So it
That
does make you feel special,
it
to get stuff like
does.
that.
Very
Such
special,
a nice
yes.
thing. Such
So,
a nice thing to do.
yeah.
Well, what's your next one, Mike?
So my next one, I touched on this last week. Um, a lot of mine tend to revolve around food. I'm not quite sure why. And I hope I'm not stealing any from Sophie. Sophie, if I am, if I start to say something, you tell me to stop, okay?
Don't worry, I've already looked through a bunch of yours, and the only one I would say you're stealing from me is the jasmine one.
Okay, then I'll let you have
Uh-oh.
the Jasmine one.
Okay,
Okay, so deal. So
deal.
this one is not Jasmine related. This one is cookie
Food
related.
related.
It's cookie related, and it was the time that we were eating at Main Street Bakery. And like I said, I mentioned this last week as part of a memory. And it was the year of the million dreams. And the cast member said, "Who's your favorite character?" And Sophie said Cinderella. And she's like, "Well, I just happened to be at the castle, and Cinderella had this huge cookie for you and asked if I would deliver it to her friend Sophie." And little 6-year-old Sophie, or however old she just was just loved that Cinderella was thinking of her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that cookie was so good, and it was probably about a 5-pound cookie. Maybe not.
Wow.
I might have exaggerated, but it was huge. And I think last
Wow.
week I said as big as my head, which is not quite as big this week because I got a haircut.
Wow.
But anyway, it's still big.
Yeah, I'd say about this big, maybe.
Yeah, and we
Wow,
all
that's
snacked
great.
on it, and it was great snacking all day.
Oh, yeah.
So
So tasty.
yeah,
Making me hungry.
Mm, that's what we do.
that's what we do. Yep. All right, Sophie. So you go next.
Well, I have to say for me that mine, since you've got me focused on food,
Uh huh.
it would have to be all of those times when I got a Disney birthday dessert when we were eating at a restaurant. Like, I remember the biggest one would have to be, I think it was definitely a restaurant in Epcot. I
Mm-hmm.
think it might have been Oscar Schuss.
Okay.
And I had not been expecting a dessert at all because I didn't see any on the menu. And then lo and behold, they come out with this beautiful looking chocolate cupcake, and you can probably get it at all of the restaurants, I'm not gonna lie, but this is the one I remember. And they sang happy birthday to me, and I just wasn't
Mhm.
expecting it. Maybe say that I have low expectations, but that's just what it is for me, especially when it comes to my birthday.
And it was the kind of cupcake you could decorate yourself, wasn't it? With
Yes, it
sprinkles and
was.
so forth.
It was.
Nice.
Yeah. And um I remember a lot of these because I obviously was there for all of them. But um, that is where they oftentimes would also give the birthday card that Brenda mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they would put it. Um, and so that was kind of cool that's how they would also give their birthday card with the signatures was at the same time.
Yeah, that's
So
Yeah.
sweet.
that's
Very
cool.
sweet.
And I think that Jagan will agree with me on this one that to her, this is a way that Disney goes above and beyond. This one is a different birthday. It was one where Jagan was there with us,
Uh huh.
and we were eating at Via Napoli, and my mom had
Yum.
bought a birthday cake for me. It was a huge chocolate birthday cake, and Jagan was so sad because she didn't think she would be able to eat it. And then my mom went to her and said, "No, you can have some too. This is a gluten-free cake."
Oh,
And
that's great. How
yes, that
sweet.
and it
Yep.
may have been the way my mom ordered it. It was the way she ordered it because obviously she said gluten-free, but just the fact that we were able to share that with Jake, and because when you look around, you don't find a lot of gluten-free cakes. So the fact that we could find one at Disney, no less, was huge.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I remember Jaken's face. She was so
Oh, she
happy.
lit up, didn't she?
Yeah,
That was so much fun.
You can
and I
imagine how
think
many things she's been
because
left out on. Yeah.
yep. And I think because the cake was so rich and so chocolatey, I ended up giving her the rest of my slice.
It was a great
Very
cake.
nice.
It
Mhm.
was that was 2014, and that was for Sophie's birthday, for her 13th birthday. That was the trip where Sophie and Jagan and Sophie's other best friend Riley met together for the first time, and it was like Brenda. It was like those three had grown up together. They were
Yeah.
best friends instantly,
That is,
and
Mhm.
it was
oh,
so
so
much. It was
great.
such a fun trip. And it's just how it is. It's just
So
awesome
great.
when things like that happen. So,
It is.
all right. Okay, Brenda.
Right. So my next one has to do with one of our Disney cruises.
Uh-huh.
We went out of Galveston on a 5 night to Mexico. It was our anniversary. And on the first day, I had to go to guest services. What did I go there for? Oh, I went there to drop off the pillowcases because you used to could drop off pillowcases at guest services, and then they would have all the characters sign them
Oh,
while
wow.
you were on the ship, and then they would contact you in your room and let you know when the pillowcases were ready to pick up. So I went there the first day, left the pillowcases, and I met this really, really sweet cast member in guest services named Natalia. And she was from the Ukraine, I think, or something like that. I think she was from the Ukraine. Anyway, she was talking to me and she said, have you ever sailed before? And we were saying yes. And she said, are you celebrating anything? It's like the normal Disney small talk, like, are you
Right.
celebrating anything? Are you,
Yeah.
everything. So she was really sweet. We left there. After that, we were completely spoiled because every day Natalia and her team sent something to our room every
Nice.
day. It was
Oh,
either a sweet
wow.
treat or it was a bottle of wine or something. And they all
Mm-hmm.
had cards. They'd say, with compliments from guest services, or I wish you a magical day. Welcome on board from Costa Maya. She was just the sweetest person ever. And I kept all those cards. They're stapled together. All these cards are from one trip.
Oh
Wow.
my.
All these cards were from things that Natalia and her team left us while we were on that one cruise.
That
And
is so awesome.
it was just so magical. It was wonderful. It was so sweet. And that was like the best. Well, I really like the 7 night to the Eastern Caribbean as far as the itinerary, but as far as memories and just Disney magic, this cruise was definitely the one for sure.
That
Cool.
sounds
So,
awesome.
when you said the pillowcases, does that mean you bring your own pillowcases up to them,
Yeah,
or
they stopped the service, unfortunately, but you used to could take, so you'd get like you'd take the pillowcase, and I always had like a big package of, I'm a pen freak. I have a billion pens, but I have fabric markers. So I would take the thing of fabric markers and the pillowcase and put them in a Ziploc baggie. And during the cruise, they would have all the characters sign them and then put the pillowcases signed in back into the um,
Ziploc?
Ziploc bag, and I got them done for Aaliyah and McKinley at the time.
Cool.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is neat.
it's really a sweet thing to, or you can do a mat. I've done mats too, where you could take them and leave them, and the characters would sign.
Uh-huh.
We've done the mats all around Disney World, so we could put a picture inside and everything.
Right.
But
Right.
it was really just the magic on that cruise was unbelievable. I mean, way over the top.
Awesome.
She was so sweet. Just love her. Hope she's doing well. I know all
Mhm.
those guys don't have a job right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a great memory. What's your next one, Mike?
So, it was 2010, and it was Sophie's ninth birthday. And it was the trip, Sophie, when we took Stephanie for the first time.
Yeah.
And um and we were staying at French Quarter,
Oh, I
Brenda,
love French Quarter.
and we took the water taxi down to down to
Disney
Disney
Springs,
Springs,
downtown
downtown
Disney.
Disney back then. And we were just talking with the boat captain, and he saw Sophie's button for her happy birthday button. And
Hmm.
so he wished her, of course, he wished her a happy birthday. And then and she said thank you, of course. Um and then right as we were about to just start walking up to the downtown Disney, he said, "Hang on a minute," and he called us back, and he opened up a cabinet in his area, by where the wheel is and everything like that, and he proceeded to give Sophie some things to celebrate her birthday, and he decked Sophie out in pirate gear.
Oh,
And
cute.
she had
I
on a little bandana, and
love that.
she had just a whole bunch of different stuff, and he gave her like a plastic sword and all this neat stuff that just really. And of course Sophie with the little freckles, she was so adorable.
So cute. I know. She still is.
That's one of the last times I was adorable until after I got out of high school.
No, not even
That's not
close.
true.
But anyway, and that was just like, it was just like the best thing. I mean, she wore that like every day. It became her part of her get up for the day,
That's right.
was
Her
wearing her
uniform.
pirate. And so that was the trip, and that was the time when he turned her into Pirate Sophie. Arg.
So cute. So cute.
Arrgh.
Yeah, because one of the things he gave her was like a hook,
Oh my goodness.
a little plastic hook, where you wear it, you put it over your hand and you hold it, and there's the hook.
Yep.
So it was
That is
just
so
so cool.
cute.
I'm like, that guy, I don't even remember his name, but he was so good, and it was awesome. It was just awesome.
So good. So good.
It was
So,
amazing.
all right, Sophie, what's your next one?
Well, has to be Princess Jasmine, the one
Oh,
that I stole back from you.
that's perfectly okay. Go ahead and tell us
Mhm.
about Princess Jasmine.
I was, well, it was in Epcot and it was over by Morocco.
Mhm.
And we were going to originally walk past that pavilion, I remember, but then my dad was like, why don't we go inside and see what it's about? And
It probably was
Morocco,
mommy who wanted to go in and see.
it might
But
have been.
anyway,
It was one of you two.
sorry, I'm going to seal up now. Stop interrupting.
Oh no, it's fine. And we came across this place in the back and no one was there.
It's because it's
And
hidden.
yeah, it is hidden, but it's also really cool. And there we found Princess Jasmine and the genie. And me, this is very perfect because that year all I wanted was a Princess Jasmine costume. And since there was no one there, they called us over and Princess Jasmine spent like 15 minutes with me, and I
Oh,
was just
sweet.
fixated on her. Nothing the genie could do would get me to pay attention to him. It was all about Princess Jasmine. And I whispered
Aw.
in her ear that I wanted to get a costume just like hers.
I
And
wanted you.
So cute.
if you say so.
So cute.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm glad you have that photo
Go
because
ahead.
I don't. I don't have my childhood photos, and that's why Daddy has such power over me because he can show those whenever he wants.
Anyway, so you did, and in that, and I think you were telling us that you said to her that all you wanted was a Princess Jasmine costume. That's what you were whispering right when I happened to get that perfect picture. So,
Hmm.
That is a perfect
And
picture.
I got it. I got it,
yeah,
and it may have been the only thing I got, but
it was the only thing she wanted that whole trip.
yep, it was the only thing I wanted, and I was walking around swishing my torso to make the little
Yeah, those little gold embellishments.
yeah, the little bangles on the costume swish and make noises together because it was so pretty to me, and I think that's why I wanted it so bad, was because I wanted to hear that sound whenever I walked.
Yep.
That is
And
so sweet.
it was awesome. And I
Yeah.
was so sad when I couldn't fit in that costume anymore or when it got a hole. It was one of the two, but I
But you had
wore
that
it
a
to
good long time. Yeah.
I loved it well.
That
Yep.
is a sweet story.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh, are you
Brenda.
okay?
Yeah,
You
I'm fine.
crying, Brenda? You crying over
I'm
Sophie's
fine.
story?
Oh, God. Well, you know what? I'm glad you like that story, Sophie, and I'm happy you had those happy memories because you're not going to probably like this story that's coming up from me.
Oh.
And
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but we had a totally different experience. So I just want you to know that up front. So this was
Oh.
in Walt Disney World in 2010. We went. It was all the family, like all of us, like my mom, all my three kids, Butch and me, and my sister and her husband and her two kids, and it was a such a fun trip. But one of the places we went was to dinner at 1900 Park Fair. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
And Anastasia and Drizella fought over my oldest son. It it was hilarious. They kept talking about how he was a pirate and arguing over which one he liked the most, and they would keep feeling his muscles, and they were hilarious. So I have some pictures. This one. Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
We can
Yeah.
see
wow.
it.
You see that? So they were fighting over him and which one he liked the most, and they would yell out across the whole restaurant, "He's my pirate! He's my pirate! Leave your hands off!" And then after a while, Lady Tremaine came over and had to meet her soon-to-be son-in-law.
That's funny.
It was hilarious. So when you talk about Disney going over the top, or that definitely was not the dinner we expected when we showed up at the restaurant. It just made everything so much fun.
Oh, wow.
It was really awesome.
Well, I'm
That is
glad you
awesome.
enjoyed that.
I know we did.
I'm glad you enjoyed it more than I did. Because for
Yeah.
those who have forgotten, this is a story we throw around a lot. When I went there, I told them it was my birthday, and then they asked today, and I was like, no, tomorrow, and they were like, oh, so you're lying. And that just, you should
That
have
set her
seen.
off. Oh my God, you should have seen the
That
look
was
on
not
Sophie's
good.
face.
It was
It was
like,
like
No. I know you had a bad experience, but we had
they
so much
tried to
fun
make up
there.
for it though. I think
yeah,
they realized that they went too far with the wrong kid.
yeah,
Because
it's okay.
then they were like, "That's okay. I'd do that too," something like
Yeah.
that.
And then Prince
But
Charming came and danced with me, so it was all
uh,
right.
she got to meet Prince
Nice.
Charming, so that made it better, right,
Nice.
Sophie?
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Well,
But anyway, live
it
and
was
learn.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's all
it was
right.
all good. It was
Well,
all
what's your
good.
next your next story, Mike?
I have two more, and the first one is at Beer Garden. That was the trip where Sophie and I danced, and that's why it's my background picture. You can
I remember
barely
that.
see them,
That was so sweet.
but it's not the fact that Sophie and I were dancing. And by the way, for everyone listening, we were the only two dancing on the dance floor with everyone watching us because
Yep, I was one of those people.
Sophie wanted to dance. And I'm like, okay, come on, honey. And so we went and danced, and it was awesome. But what the story isn't about us dancing, the story is about how the cast members and the band and how Disney goes above and beyond and they give that opportunity. They celebrated Sophie's birthday. They because it was the month before, so we said it had been Sophie's birthday that last month. So they announced that Sophie had had a birthday, and they perform and they have just such a good time doing that performance, and then they open it up for dancing. And it's just like, it's all those little things. It's the little things that really goes and that's what makes your trip magical, is the little
That's right.
details. So, and my other one kind of goes hand in hand with that. It didn't happen at Epcot and at Beer Garden. It happened at French Quarter, and it was just it was the year of a million dreams. And during that time, every time we would leave French Quarter, the people, it seemed like that whole week, the greeters were the same two guys the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Where are we going today?" And we would say, "Well, we're going to Animal Kingdom or whatever." And they'd say, "Well, your best bet is to go take the bus right over here, and it'll take you right there." Or if we were going to Disney Springs, they'd say, "Well, go out the water taxi or whatever for the quickest route." But
Yeah.
every time they would give Sophie Mardi Gras beads, and she would wear them,
Nice.
and she'd
Yep.
end up having them like six different things about Mardi Gras beads and or for the whole week. And
Mm-hmm.
and then the last thing they did is one time they said, "Here, Sophie, I've got this to give to you." And it was a charm. Was it a necklace? I think it was, or it might have been a pin, but it had two halves. And so one half was for you, and the other half you gave to Riley. Um, and it was so that that you two would see each other as your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it
That is
was
so
just so
cute.
cool. And that's just they just gave it to her. So things like that. Those are the things that really make it, you know, Disney. That's what makes Disney Disney.
That's right.
Yep.
So,
And
That's
it
right.
was amazing.
yeah.
And I think I remembered them giving like these shiny plastic Mardi Gras coins as well,
All right. I'd
and
forgotten that.
saying you could go and make wishes in the fountain because they have a
Oh,
fountain in the lobby and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
doubloons.
Hmm.
The gold doubloons. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. They were
That's
awesome. And then I
sweet.
think I remember actually, this has nothing to do with Disney, but this was when I was in elementary school. I think I had an obsession with these doubloons, and that's why they gave them to me because when I was in elementary school, it was St. Patrick's Day, and I was walking around on the playground and I found this shiny green coin and it had a four-leaf clover on it. So I was obsessed with finding another.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Hmm.
Sweet.
And so, do you have a story, Sophie?
Well, shoot,
Are you
I was going to talk about Pandora, but I decided no because that's just talking about Disney architecture and not my personal experience with it. Actually, you know what? I think I will.
I think
okay?
that's a good idea.
Yeah, because one of the biggest things about the Disney parks is that they are always changing. And when I was younger, I was really opposed to change. I didn't want things to change. I wanted it all to stay as it was because to me it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got rid of Mickey's Toontown Fair, I was so sad. But I really ended up liking the expansion that they made to Fantasyland.
Yep.
And so that taught me to have an open mind. And then when they started talking about the world of Avatar, well, I wasn't that interested in it, but I also wanted to see what it was about. I thought it was just going to be like, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting what I got with Pandora. I was completely amazed when I saw it for the first time. I
Beautiful.
guess part of me was expecting almost like a museum exhibit or something about the avatars. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was blown away. And then when I saw it at night, I was even more blown
Oh yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So
Mm,
beautiful.
Yeah, going above and beyond, just like you said, Sophie, it's not always just in regards to cast members and guests. It's also about Disney and the experience that their guests have. So,
Yeah, because a lot of the plussing that they do is during the Imagineering. I mean,
mhm.
they
mhm.
do a lot of extra things that people wouldn't expect.
I mean, just
Yeah.
look at your background of Sophie's background of Galaxy's Edge and
Yeah,
just look at how cool that is.
I know. It is so
And
awesome.
it's just so incredible to see.
Mhm.
And we haven't even witnessed it at night yet
No, we
because we were
haven't.
there. The first time we saw it was July with your FA9
Yep.
experience. So
Mhm. And that was also a great example of Disney Plus saying I didn't expect it to be quite that immersive, but I'm glad that it
yeah,
was
yeah.
because
Well
like
done,
I'm
everything.
mhm.
All right, Brenda, do you have another one?
Oh my gosh. Do I'm gonna lump two together because I have,
Okay.
I told you I have a list, but these both happened during our trip in 2000. And our trip in 2000, my youngest was 6, and it was his first trip.
Okay.
So one of the things that happened was the conductor of the Walt Disney World Railroad chose him to be the conductor. So he got to
Nice.
go up
Oh,
and,
wow.
drive the train. And oh my gosh, his face lit up like a light bulb. And after that, we went to the back of the train and he got to take pictures with the real conductor, and he wore the conductor's hat, and they gave him a little card that was it's a conductor for the day card. Yeah, I still
Uh-huh.
have it. I keep everything I told you. It's a Walt Disney World Railroad guest conductor, good for round trip passage through the Magic Kingdom. Have a magical journey. And
How
we
old is
got
your son
pictures of
now?
him. He is 27 now.
So you've had it for 21 years. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then on that same trip, um, Joshua, the same kid, um, got separated from us. And it, I think it was like 3 minutes that we were looking, maybe 3 or 4 minutes we were looking for him, but it was the longest journey of my life. And he was by the Plaza restaurant, and they took him in the Plaza restaurant. And that was the first time I knew what they do with lost kids. And what they do is they tell them, oh no, your parents are lost. It's never the child that's lost. It's the
Right.
parents that are lost. So
Mhm.
they help to find the parents. And then when we were, with him, they said, oh, look, your parents have been found. And he was okay. But that was the first time I realized that they do that so that kids don't get freaked out. And I thought, for them to have thought of that, it's just another thing about Disney that sets it apart. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
just the little things like that that mean so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a great it was great when we
Yeah.
found him. I was so
Mm.
relieved.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that time when I had a nosebleed in the parks. I hadn't drinking enough water,
Oh
and
no.
so we were riding Winnie the Pooh. I wasn't hurt or anything. I just, yeah, I feel bad for the cast members that had to deal with that because they were like, oh no, is she hurt? And think my parents amazing as they are, they were like, no, 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 it's not your fault. She just didn't drink enough water. And it's it's really amazing how much they care to make sure that their guests aren't hurt or anything.
Sure. Yeah.
They it's it's really just I wish that every place was like that.
Me
Hmm.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place if every place took
Was
some
like
lessons from
Disney.
Disney. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
right.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have one, and it was involving a lot of these involve Sophie's birthday. Just because we liked to go for her birthday. It's funny how this is kind of a side note, but when we first went to Disney, um, the first time, like we said, was when we stayed at Leanne's timeshare, and then the
Mhm.
second time, and so we only went to Disney like 2 days. Most of the time, we were at the timeshare, swimming in the pool and so forth. And then um, the next time was the next year. We took my mom over for a day, and we only went for that one day to the Magic Kingdom. And then the following year was the first time we stayed on property, and that we stayed at Coronado Springs. And we didn't think, okay, we're starting a tradition here of staying on
Yeah.
property and going year after year after year. It just seemed like that just always happened. And so from the time of that first trip in 2005, I think Sophie went to Disney every year until like 2016 or something like that. It's kind of crazy. But for we didn't always go for her birthday, and when we did go for her birthday, they would give us the buttons,
Mhm.
and of course, and it would say happy birthday, Sophie. And one day, um because of the heat and the sweat and all that, her name had kind of gotten worn off, and we were over at Hollywood Studios, and we went into one of the shops just to look around, and probably as much to enjoy the air conditioning as anything. And
Yes.
but they had a Disney artist who was working on some drawings, and
Mhm.
he was just sitting there, and people would just look at what he was working on, and he saw Sophie's butt, and he was like, oh, that won't do. And so he asked for her button, and he took her button, and he drew out Sophie in Disney script.
Oh,
He cleaned it all off. He drew out Sophie in Disney script, and then he put sprinkles and stuff on it, like glitter and stuff like that, so that it looked like the Sophie looked like it was three-dimensional,
that is
on the
neat.
button, and it was
Yeah.
so cool. It was almost like you don't want to touch it or take it or wear
Yeah.
it. It's like you want to put it in a picture frame somewhere, a shadow box, for it to
Yeah.
stay
Mhm.
forever. It was so cool.
It
It was
was
just such a
amazing.
great job, and it's just like that's what they do. That's what
That's what they
Disney
do.
does. So,
That's what they do.
Yep.
do you have
It
anything
was
else you want to
amazing.
talk about, Sophie?
Well, no, aside from me just reiterating this fact right here, I really want a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really want to experience that because if it's anything like it was experiencing building my droid FA9, I want a lightsaber. I want a kyber crystal. I want to make my own. I want to do the Ilum run even.
Well, just for the record,
I know, I'm
it,
gonna pay for it myself.
well, there's that for the record. The other for the record is there won't be a crystal, and it won't really be a lightsaber.
Hmm.
It'll look like a lightsaber, but it's not a lightsaber. And this is off topic entirely, but I remember seeing a meme where Darth Vader is fighting, and you can see the shadow from his lightsaber. And I'm like, whoops.
Oh
So
boy.
anyway, but anyway, it would be cool though to build your own lightsaber. That would be really cool.
Hmm.
So
That's
I don't
true.
know. Maybe
Be
Christmas.
cool.
Better put it on your wish list.
Mm.
I said I'm paying for it myself.
Anyway, so you don't have anything else? No other stories to share, Sophie? I think I'm running out
No
too.
other stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brenda, you want to close us out with one or two more?
Yeah. I'll narrow it down to two more. One was, oh my gosh, this is about my husband. If you know my husband, he's a hoot. But several years ago, we were at Epcot, and they had the World Showcase players there in the United Kingdom, and they were doing the street production of Arthur's Quest for the Holy Grail.
Uh-huh.
And they
Mhm.
chose my husband out of the audience to be King Arthur.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun.
This is
I
over
mean,
in the
oh
UK,
my
right?
gosh. Yeah. So in this show, it's an audience participation show, but it's kind of based like on the Holy Grail, the
Uh-huh.
movie.
Mm.
And they teach the audience members to say things like Grail, things like that during the show. Well, my husband, being King Arthur, had a specific line. So anytime one of the actors said King Arthur, the audience said, "Long live the king." And my husband would raise his thumbs and say, "Yahoo! That's me, baby." So it was so funny because like 20 times during the show, it was like King Arthur, "Hail to the king! Yahoo! That's me, baby."
I can see
And I
what's
mean, you
doing
could,
that.
oh my
Oh my
gosh, couldn't
gosh.
you? I mean, he loved it. And you could tell how much these guys loved that show. And
Oh,
I think they
Wow.
left. I think they were there until like 2014. But boy, if they start bringing some of these, acts back, they were just so much fun. I mean, they were so much fun. And they really, I mean, they certainly turned our Epcot Epcot day around. It made it so much better.
Wow.
well,
It was great.
I remembered something.
Oh, awesome. There you
So
go.
if I could tell one more and then you tell your
Of
last one and
course.
close out with that.
Mhm.
But Sophie, twice we were there for her birthday. Actually more than twice, but twice that this happened. And um once it was, I think, when we went with Anna Jane, Sophie,
Mhm.
and we were on Main Street, and the performers who sing, um, I always call them the Dapper Dans, but I don't think that's who they are.
I call them the Dapper Dans too.
Yeah,
But
I think that's
anyway,
who they are.
Lee had told me they were something else. But anyway, um, they sang Happy Birthday to Sophie in front of everyone there.
Sweet.
Mhm.
But before that trip, we were back by Fantasyland and they were performing, and there was Sophie and another lady who was an older lady who both were celebrating birthdays, and they sang for both of them. And it's just so neat when when they do stuff like that just to make someone's day just a little bit better.
Definitely. The Disney way.
Yeah.
So
The Disney
anyway, that
way.
was I was trying to remember it, and then I forgot it. And then when you mentioned the street performers, it came back to me. I'm like, I better say it now, or I'm gonna forget it again.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, that's a great one.
and I think there is one that I also have, and they haven't done this in forever. But I remember at Disney World and Disneyland, I believe, the sword and the stone and anvil in front of the carousel,
Hmm.
it can be removed.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I remember hearing stories about how sometimes people would go up to pull the sword from the stone, and a cast member would press a button, and they would actually be able to pull it up. And I don't remember what all happened, but I think they were named king of the park for the day, king or queen. And it was just so amazing. And I really wish I could have done it, but oh well.
I think you did do it once.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay. Well, I think that you did, but that's okay.
I bet they
Um,
made a lot of people's days that way.
yeah, they sure did.
Yep.
Okay, Brenda, close us out.
Oh, well, here's one from 2019. At least it's more recent. So this was McKinley's fifth birthday trip. I told you we take the granddaughters for their fifth birthday. This was her trip, and she was finally tall enough to ride Everest and Flight of Passage on this trip. We were so excited. She was so excited about that because she had waited for those two rides specifically to be able to ride those when she was tall enough. So we were in Animal Kingdom. We went to Everest and they measured her and she was tall enough, and we went on Everest, and then we went straight over to straight over to Flight of Passage for our fast pass. And when she got there, they measured her and they kept pushing down on her head, and they said she was not tall enough. And she was mortified. I mean, she was so heartbroken, and she just couldn't help it. She looked at me and she just started crying, but she was trying not to be, trouble, she's crying.
Right.
And then this young gentleman cast member came over, and, there was nothing he could do about the height requirement. I mean, they're not going to break the height requirement. They wouldn't let her on. So he came over and he bent down and he said, McKinley, could you come with me? I have a special place to take you to. And so we were curious, and we said yes. So he led her and us over to the Navi River Journey ride, and he went through the back ways of cutting through the line with us with him, and took her straight to the front of the line and told the cast member that Princess McKinley had arrived for her special journey, and made a big deal about her being able to ride the Navi River Journey without waiting in a 3-hour line. And that was just so sweet, and she smiled, and she felt like a princess.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could have ended up so differently. It was just, she went from totally heartbroken to really feeling special, and that was just awesome. I mean, that was so the Disney, and he didn't have to do that, and we really, really appreciated it. So whether it's great big things or little things, Disney always throws those little magical, things in there. It just adds pixie dust to your trip. It's definitely a one-of-a-kind destination. I mean, even dealing with my food allergies, I don't trust really traveling anywhere, but I know if I go to Disney, my food allergies are going to be handled properly, and I don't have to worry. It's just a one-of-a-kind destination for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that actually brings me to one last story, and it happened with a client of mine. And he texted me a picture. I won't show it online, but it involved his daughter, who was 20 at the time, and they were staying on property, and they were literally waiting for their Magical Express ride back to the airport, and they remembered and found the gift card I had sent them as a thank you gift. And they his daughter had wanted a Stitch stuffed animal so badly, and they hadn't gotten it. And a cast member from their resort said, "Here, I'll go get it," and took their gift card and went into Epcot and found Stitch and paid for it and brought it back, all while they're waiting for Magical Express.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And when she saw it, she started crying tears of joy. And he said, they took a picture with the cast member, and he said that absolutely made her day. And it was to the point that she got back to college, back to her dorm room, and Stitch was on her bed with her everywhere she went. That's where he lived, was on her dorm bed.
That
and
is
I mean,
adorable.
it's just, that's just what it is they go above and beyond.
That is great. Yes, that's a great story.
So I think that's a good one to close with.
Yes.
So Sophie.
Yeah.
This day in Disney history for February 22nd. What are you going to talk about today?
lots and lots of birthdays.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read every single one of them out, but I'm going to go in chronological order, and I'm
Okay.
going to wish them all a happy birthday and see if you guys, the listeners, can guess why they are being talked about for this day in Disney history. So, happy birthday, President George Washington. Happy birthday, John Mills. Happy birthday, Paul Dooley. Happy birthday, Marnie Nixon. Happy birthday, Julie Waters. Happy birthday, Kyle McLachlan. And happy birthday, Leah Salonga.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And in order, those are from, all of them are February 22nd, 1732, 1908, 1928, 1930, 1950, 1959, and 1971.
Okay. Pick 3 and just tell quickly why they're related to Disney.
All right, well, to pick
You pick your
3,
3. Any 3.
well, we all know who George Washington is, so I don't need to talk about him. John Mills was an actor and Disney legend born in, wait, hold on. Oh, England. Yeah, I didn't know where Felixstowe was, but it didn't sound like an American city. He was born in Felixstowe, Suffolk, England. Paul Dooney was an actor, writer, and comedian, and he voices Sarge in both Cars and Cars 2.
Nice.
And Leia Salonga is the voice of Princess Jasmine.
Ah.
And also I think Mulan. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the 3 I'm going to talk about.
Okay. All right. Well, cool.
Very cool.
Okay.
Yep, and they were all born on the same day.
Yep. Different years, of course.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope
Yes.
so.
Yes,
Thank you,
different
Sophie.
years. All of them
Yes.
were.
Thank you, Sophie.
No problem. Well, who's our who's who character, Daddy?
He is a dwarf. Guess which one?
Just guess out of the 7?
Yep. Out of the 7, just pick one.
I am leaning towards Happy.
Nope.
Dopey.
Nope. Bashful.
Oh.
Oh.
Because he
He's
fits my
cute.
personality.
Oh, yes, he does.
Yeah, whatever you say, Sneezy.
He is the shyest of the dwarf, and he tends to keep to himself. Any interaction he has may lead to a reddening face, which causes him to hide behind his beard in between giggles. He's a bit of a romantic, and he loves the idea of true love. Bashful wears a green cap and a yellow top, and he has a long beard and a big nose. So I just opened the book, and that's who is there. But I also learned some interesting things, that the prince has no first name.
Yes, I was aware of that.
Yeah.
I
And,
think we call him Florian.
well, he has no official first name. He was intended originally to have a much bigger role in the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, but it didn't work out that way. He was limited towards the end, until just the end. But anyway, but Bashful was my Who's Who character. And then lastly, my Walt Disney quote. And Walt says, this is on the subject of education. He said, there is more treasure in books than in all the pirates' loot on Treasure Island and at the bottom of the Spanish Main. And best of all, you can enjoy these riches every day of your life.
Mhm.
And that's
Amen to
absolutely
that.
true. That is absolutely true. So, but that wraps us up this week. Coming next week, we have what we think is going to be a fun episode. We're going to have our friend Lee from Disneylandia will be back joining us for his second time on the show. And we are going to talk about our favorite Disney collectibles we have at home. And that could be anything you think is a collectible. So whatever we want, I've got some cool things that may not be collectible in the terms of value, but they're still kind of cool and they're collectible to me. So I'm looking forward to that episode, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we all have our favorite Disney collections, so we're gonna trying to narrow it down. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's the show for this week. So Brenda, Sophie, and I will
See you
on
on
the road. Bye.
Bye.